quaver for a nose would be kind of wonderful because you could just occasionally just have a little nibble. You know, just I don't know if my tongue's long enough to reap the full benefit of a quaver nose. Hey guys, I am Redmayne and I'm here with ELLE UK to play Ask Me Anything. If I could appear in a film with 3 actors, dead or alive, who would I choose? I would love to do a film with Tom Sturridge, Jamie Dornan and Andrew Garfield, just because I think it would either be really, really fun or horrendous because they're good friends. Actually, it was only Jamie that I was fully living with, and definitely I was more into the cooking. I'm trying to think, generally it was quite, despite the fact that we didn't really have any money because none of us were employed, we did tend to eat out quite a lot, but normally we were eating out because it meant that you got free parking somewhere to go and sort of play table tennis for an afternoon. The best actor cook I know and the greatest lunch invite you can get is from Stanley Tucci, who going around for his to his and his wife Fee's lunch on a Sunday is like a culinary feast as well as dying with laughter. Well, Stanley Tucci's specialty and Fee, his wife, is pretty much everything Italian, as you might expect. But the thing that's extraordinary is, you know, sometimes when you go to dinner and people cook and they sort of put all this effort in, but they really make you know how much effort they put in. Whereas you go to Stanley and Fee's house and they're sort of, firstly, you're given an extraordinary drink, some sort of martini as you arrive. Secondly, they're cooking in front of you and somehow kind of including you, or is able to talk. Like when I have people for dinner, like they get banned into another. It's really fun going to my house. You get banned into another room. You're not allowed to talk to me because I can only focus on one thing at a time. Do you know, they've sort of been banned in my life. There were these big moments during Fantastic Beasts where you'd have like big chunks of the day when you weren't working and I'd be in my trailer and I'd be sort of surreptitiously watching Love Island on my computer and then sort of not really admitting to it at home because I was pretending I had a really hard day's work at work. And then someone would be talking about Love Island. I'd be like, yeah, but you know, Chris and Hannah, and my wife would be like, when are you watching this? I was like, oh, when I'm working really hard at work. The thing that reminds me most of home and the thing that I always eat the second I get off a plane at Heathrow Airport is I go to W.H. Smith and I buy a packet of either salt and vinegar squares or salt and vinegar discos. And then I know that I'm home. When I have that searing feeling on my tongue, that is home for me. I love a Monster Munch occasionally. I also love a What's It and a quaver. Salt and vinegar quaver, underrated thing. This is, would I rather have What's It's for a finger or a quaver for a nose? This is a brilliant question. Crisps are my special subject. What's It's for finger? I love the greasiness. I love the orangeness. I love the oiliness. And I adore the taste. I love the melt in the mouthness. But that greasiness would go everywhere. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be able to like use your phone because, well, firstly it wouldn't like respond to it, but secondly it'd be very greasy. Everything would be greasy. They're probably quite dirty because you accumulate dirt. A quaver for a nose would be kind of wonderful because you could just occasionally just have a little nibble. You know, just I don't know if my tongue's long enough to reap the full benefit of a quaver nose. Which character would I want to go with? Probably Lily Elba actually, because I would love to have met her. Top tip to nailing an American accent. I wish I had tips. I have many friends who are able just to like jump into accents left, right, center. It just takes hard work and grind and a very brilliant dialect coach, a man called Michael Buster. And it takes months of prep and then they disappear as well. Like I'm totally incapable of doing Charlie Cullen's accent now. But I hope I was at the time. What is one thing about Jessica Chastain that you may not know? Well, you may know, but she has one of the most infectious laughs in the world. And when it comes out, it's a pretty guttural, full-bodied thing and instantly makes me laugh. Something that you won't know about Jessica Chastain in this movie is she plays a nurse called Amy Lochran who was suffering from a heart problem. And she needed a heart transplant. And so in the film, Jess had asked for this little earpiece to be put in one ear. And it would be a heartbeat. And the director would have the capacity to shift the heartbeat during a scene. So Jess would be playing the scene and then suddenly her heart would start beating harder, and so that's a kind of hidden secret to the goodness. First film that I watched and got heebie-jeebies, one of the world's great words, was Silence of the Lambs. I had an older brother. I watched it at an inappropriately young age, and I watched most of it like this. And I've not watched it since. The other film that continues to, I should probably talk to a therapist about it, but which I watched very young at the cinema, was Willow. And I just remember I went to the cinema with my, I think my mum, and I just kept going to the loo. And she was like, "Is there something wrong? Have you got some bladder issue?" I would just go and sit in the loo at the cinema, so I didn't have to watch it, because it was about a baby being stolen. And the other day I saw a trailer for the new series of The Willow, and it brought me out in sweats. My best fancy dress costume ever was, as a kid, it was a Christmas party. We don't have enough Christmas fancy dress parties anymore. And I went dressed as a Christmas tree. My mum made out of felt. She sewed this Christmas outfit with all the baubles and the tinsel. It was the 80s, so there was a lot of tinsel and lametta. I remember walking around the corner to go to the party, and by the time I arrived, all of the things had fallen off, and I was just a kind of boy in green tights, and I was quite upset. Not nearly as upset as my mum was. You know, I definitely know my limits with musicals. I sort of look back on Les Mis, and I had a huge amount of fun doing it, but I just sort of see myself sort of neck sort of throbbing and desperately trying to hit notes that I can't really sing. So what would quite a Sunset Boulevard fan. I enjoyed that. I remember seeing that when I was younger. Starlight Express, 80s, rollerblades, roller skates. It would have to be something to do with freckles. I don't feel there are enough skincare things out there to celebrate, what it feels like to be clad in freckles and moles. There are all these skincare brands to get rid of freckles, and I'd highlight them. And one of the things I kind of loved about playing Newt was finding I like practical things wands do. So I quite liked when he used the wand to make an ear to kind of get a super sensitive hearing. I feel like that practical stuff that's probably what I'd do. Guys, thank you so much for your questions. See you later.